Argentina is experiencing a catastrophic consequence as China has stopped a currency swap line agreement with Argentina worth a whopping $6.5 billion. This freeze will remain in effect until the new Argentine president, Javier Milei, takes concrete steps to repair relations with China. A currency swap line agreement is a simple exchange agreement where two countries swap currencies. In this particular deal, Argentina swaps their vessels for the Chinese yuan. The agreement stipulates that after a set period of time, the yuan will be swapped back for the Argentine pesos. Despite the amount seeming insignificant, it is vital to understand the current situation in Argentina. The country is grappling with a massive currency crisis and an inflation rate that is spiraling out of control. It is important to remember that every action taken has a reaction, and some of those reactions can be disastrous. This recent development highlights the need for nations to be cautious in their economic decisions and to prioritize their diplomatic relations to avoid such consequences. This crisis was further exacerbated when Argentina devalued its national currency, the Argentine peso, by 54% just a week ago. Unfortunately, the devaluation is expected to continue at a rate of 2% per month, which is in addition to the 140% inflation rate currently plaguing the economy. It is essential for Argentina to have a clear intention to engage with China's economy and take the necessary steps to repair relations to salvage the dire economic situation. There is a crisis happening in Argentina, and it's affecting their economy. The country's leader, Milei, wanted to move closer to Western countries and away from China, which has caused some problems. He even refused an invitation to join a group called the BRICS bloc, which made China unhappy. The value of Argentina's currency, the peso, has dropped a lot, almost 80% in a year, which is really bad. This drop is mainly because of a decision made by Milei, a person on Milei's team. Milei sold a lot of Argentine bonds, which helped control inflation in the short term, but it's not a long-term solution. The problem is, selling these bonds took a lot of money out of the economy. When there's less money circulating, it can drive down inflation, but it can also hurt the economy by making it harder to buy things from other countries. This is a big problem for Argentina, which needs to import things to keep their country running smoothly. Investors are increasingly looking towards holding dollars due to its attractiveness in the global market. The recent halt of the swap line by China has resulted in the depreciation of the peso in the local market. The value of any currency is determined by its purchasing power, which means the ability to buy goods and services. The US dollar is considered the most valuable currency worldwide, as most commodities, including oil, food, and exports, are priced in dollars. As an emerging market, Argentina requires a significant amount of dollars to function effectively in the international market. However, there is still a substantial amount of money to be invested in the country's economy. Argentina has been experiencing a larger trade deficit with China since 2019, which has only been increasing year by year, reaching almost $10 billion in 2022. This trade deficit means that Argentina has been buying more from China than it has been selling to them. In order to finance this trade deficit, Argentina has been relying on the yuan swap line that China provided them with. As of May this year, almost half of Argentina's foreign reserves were denominated in yuan, which highlights the country's dependence on this swap line. If this swap line were to disappear, Argentina would lose an important avenue to import vital goods from China, which is known as the world's factory. The Chinese yuan is an important currency for Argentina, as it allows them to access finished goods from Beijing. This currency is just as important as the US dollar, especially when it comes to importing raw materials. Even though Argentina produces a lot of commodities such as wheat and soybeans, they still need to import goods to run their industries and power their economy. Over the last 5 years, China's exports to Argentina have grown significantly, from under 500 million to 1.3 billion in 2022. This increase in exports has been largely driven by the yuan swap lines, which are providing a lifeline to Argentina's economy. The imports from China that Argentina relies on the most are raw materials such as electrical machinery, boilers, and organic chemicals. These are goods that Argentina cannot produce, domestically. Argentina is currently facing a severe shortage of dollars, which has made it difficult for state-owned companies to operate without government assistance. As a result, private companies have been stepping in to fund key sectors of the economy, using their balance sheets and dollar reserves. This has helped to prevent further inflation and keep daily life running smoothly. The government has also recognized the potential benefits of privatization, such as increased efficiency and downsizing of government workers. As part of his campaign promise, President Milei plans to reduce the number of federal ministries from 18 down to 9 and lay off recently hired government workers. The recent announcement of Milei's plans to privatize the sector has caused a significant shift in the stock market, with YPF shares skyrocketing by an incredible 40% since his election victory. There are speculations that global oil giants such as Exxon or Chevron may take a stake in the company and improve its operations. While this may seem like a positive development, there is a growing concern that privatization could lead to exploitation if not handled carefully. History has shown that companies have a tendency to corner profits and leave little for the local population, and this could lead to serious economic and social consequences. To prevent this, a strong government is needed to oversee the process, which seems to be lacking in Argentina at the moment. As a result of this deregulation, protests have erupted on the streets of Argentina. The people are worried about the potential loss of jobs and the country's further impoverishment, with all the profits flowing to private companies. This uncertainty has caused widespread doubts amongst the public and could have far-reaching consequences for the country's economy and its people's livelihoods. The recent removal of the frozen yuan swap line has left Argentina in a difficult situation. The country's president, Milei, must now navigate a delicate balance between economic recovery and potential disaster. In addition to this, there is a political reality that must be considered. With the loss of the yuan facility, it is likely that Argentina will need to strengthen its ties with the United States. This may involve a gradual shift towards closer relations with the US over the coming months and years. The US administration has already offered to support Milei in discussions with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and in developing the country's lithium mining sector. This support is advantageous to Argentina, as their ultimate goal is to dollarize their economy. If the Argentine economy grows, there will be an increased demand for US dollars within the country. This, in turn, will drive further demand for the reserve currency. To achieve this, Milei may seek a dollar swap line with the US. This would allow Argentina to directly exchange vessels for US dollars and solve their import problems. However, obtaining a swap line with the Federal Reserve is not an easy feat, as very few countries have this privilege. Only G7 nations and countries with significant economic ties to the US, such as Brazil and South Korea, currently have US dollar swap lines. Without China's swap line, Argentina's desperation is only going to grow. It is unlikely that Argentina will join the BRICS in 2024, as was previously speculated. The split in the world order is becoming increasingly apparent, with the West and its financial system on one side, and China and the BRICS with their commodities and trade on the other. The smart choice is to work with both economic blocs rather than having to choose between them. Milei's decision to join the West may have been hasty, as it has caused consumption power to skyrocket even higher. If Milei cuts ties with China, there could be serious consequences, starting with the suspension of the swap line, which would result in the end of all the benefits. For instance, if China boycotts, it could import more soybeans from Brazil and the US instead of Argentina, which is the largest buyer in both countries with over 60% market shares. This could lead to a decrease in Argentina's revenue at a time when it needs to increase its exports to the world. This could result in a lower selling price for Argentina. Can Milei really save Argentina? It is difficult to say, but the challenge is now harder than ever before. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below.